Hey guys, so if you struggle with either self-discipline or pornography in particular, then there's a really high chance that your morning routine is not as dialed in as you want it to be. And in this video, I'm going to show you a lesson that I gave to my coaching clients, my self-mastery coaching clients, and my Remojo members on how to install a morning routine that really sets you up for a successful day, keeps you on track, helps you maximize self-discipline, and also maximize your energy, and something that you can do in like 15 to 20 minutes at a minimum, or you can maybe expand it up to an hour if you've got more time and you want to really spend more time and effort installing programs and working with vision, mission, affirmations, etc. But regardless of which of the two you are, there'll be something for you in this video. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hey guys, so in this session, I want to actually cover what we call an AM protocol, or in regular speak, a morning routine. And it's obviously super important because mastering that first hour of the day and using it to set yourself up for a successful day and to stay on track, to stay disciplined and to make progress on top priorities, obviously it has a huge impact. And if you can install a habit of consistently getting that first hour of the day right, start maximizing your energy and taking care of yourself and setting direction, and then getting started on top priorities, it has a massive compounding effect over time. And of course, the other thing is that guys on self-mastery, self-discipline, and quitting pornography, one thing that's clear is that a lot of guys do not have either a consistent morning routine or a solid morning routine. So if we're going to make each day a masterpiece, we need to get this right. So let's get into the actual session itself. So as I said, sets the tone, and we basically want to design our routine to engineer a peak state, right? And also establish focus and preserve our focus and discipline by strategically activating your energy across the physical, mental, and emotional slash spiritual dimensions, right? So rather than stumbling through the morning, reactive, foggy, with unclear plans, adopt the mindset and the practices of people who are capable of elite performance, who prime themselves to actually take control of the day and get things done before the world even wakes up. So this can be your competitive advantage. While other people, especially if you're in a competitive space, if you're in business, if you're in entrepreneurship, if you're in athletics or any kind of intellectual discipline, when other people are, rolling out and checking their phones, scrolling feeds, etc., you can be building momentum and locking in. So with a well-designed routine, you can crowd out temptation and put self-mastery on autopilot. So the objective session is that we want to install a systematic morning routine that guarantees high energy and mental clarity on a consistent basis, right? We want to engineer that so that it happens most days. We also want to build momentum. So by mastering the art of starting each day with immediate wins that compound throughout the day and also across days, you will build momentum in your life. And the third thing is, I want you to really start practicing priming. So this is essentially galvanizing your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual resources for the day ahead, and also programming yourself. So the identity that you want to build, the kind of character and ethos that you want to have, the way that you want to, think and act the day. All of things can be essentially programmed by repeatedly priming yourself every morning with these things. Much like if a user will realize that these AI tools with, you need to do that with your own mind as well. You need to prompt your own mind at least daily, if not more, to be the kind of person that you want to be. So what you'll need is 10 to 15 minutes to actually set up your routine and your reminders. And you'll also need to actually have goals and priorities, right? If you don't have goals and priorities, then you really won't have a top priority project or a clear directional focus to throw yourself into. You might be able to activate, your physiology, get your energy going, but without a clear direction and top priorities, you'll very likely waste that energy. So you do need to have both of those things in place. This should say 2 levels. We don't have 3 levels here, but you want to basically choose the, kind of routine, how much mastery you have over your current morning, right? So if you don't really have any morning routine or any proactively designed morning routine, you want to start off with something simple, just a kind of non-negotiable foundation, to create some separate from, just being average, just kind of doing whatever. So start with something simple, 15 to 20 minutes, right? And you want to focus on basically activating your energy quickly, getting some mental clarity and getting into something productive as soon as possible. And then if you've already got something of a morning routine and you're actually looking to take this to the next level, then perhaps you can take some inspiration from my own personal morning routine, which takes up to an hour, depending upon exactly how much time I spend doing each thing. For example, taking a longer walk versus a shorter walk, or maybe a plan of my, vision, mission, goals and launching into work. Or some days when I have less clarity, I might spend, 10 to 15 minutes looking at those things in visual more depth. So we'll look at both routes here, and you can kind of choose which one you started with, and, so let's look at the essential protocol, right? The basic morning routine for anyone who doesn't really have a well-established routine. So first thing is water, right? You need to immediately hydrate. So you want to have a big glass, you're looking at like 100 to 500 milliliters, I would say, just to immediately replenish the water that you've lost overnight and, not start behind the eight, tired and fatigued, ready, just rehydrate first thing. Then you want to walk or move, some kind of movement practice. So I have a park next to me. It's a beautiful park with plenty of trees and green, very fresh air, high oxygen-rich air. So I always go for a 10-minute quick walk around the park just outside my house, and that gets me moving. And I also try and go up and down hills to kind of get, a bit of motivation and, the blood properly pump, activating those big muscle groups in the legs as well. So you want to have a movement practice, ideally, simple, that doesn't take a lot of willpower, because if it takes a lot of willpower, you may start negotiating that and you may be inconsistent. You just want something that you can always do. So I just walk for, somewhere between 5 and briskly, incorporating some, going uphill, sometime go uphill. You want to breathe and so do any affirmation that you have. So I wouldn't actually do these together. They're just kind of one after the other. So I will do something when I'm out in the park, very oxygen-rich environment. I will do a breathwork practice called fire, which is just basically where start with your hands here. You suck air in like very, very deeply and powerfully, and then you force it out through the nose with it. You completely empty the lungs with a very forceful out through the nose. And you also kind of bring your arms to the shoulders there, so like that. So if you do that when you're surrounded by a lot of trees and plants, you will really get a very nice, energized feeling from the high quality air. So I will do that in the park, and then we'll come back and I'll actually review my affirmations and sort of do that programming where I tell myself how I'm going to act today. Look at your goals, look at your priorities, look at your to-do list, and then, from energy, getting in, so coffee or tea. I know there are people that say, it's optimal to have this 90 minutes after waking up. You don't have to worry about these kind of optimizations if you don't even have a morning routine. Just, have your coffee, enjoy it, enjoy your morning, and get ready to start work. So that's a starter routine that you can go with, and that shouldn't take more than, you're talking 30 seconds from there, 5 to 10 minutes here, 2 to 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes max. So you're looking at 15 minutes, review goals and tasks, 2 to 5 minutes, coffee, 2 to 5 minutes. So you're looking at somewhere between, let's say, 15 and 20 minutes for this routine. And then if you want to take it a bit of a step further, you can go into more detail. So obviously the same. I just gave you some examples of what. But then in terms of actually like programming your mind and priming yourself, I go a bit deeper, right? And this is where these are the activities that actually expand the amount of time that the morning routine takes. So is, reviewing your vision board, mission, goals, going through quite a long list of affirmations and standards, including my kryptonite list, which are, things I want to avoid as well. So I don't just focus on positive things. I also program my mind with things that I want to avoid. And then, I have quite complex priorities and to-do lists if I'm running two companies. So, it takes me a bit longer to plan for the day and then launch into top priority work. So if we actually look here, shift into a different screen share and just quickly show you what that looks like. Morning routine. When I open up a new app, right, in Google Chrome, I use an extension called Momentum, and you can see my pinned links here actually have the priming, the programming part of my morning routine, instantly accessible. So I just go boom, 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 and open up 5 tabs here, right? So I'll just fire them open like that. And then I have vision board, plan for the year. I have vision, mission, and affirmations. Then I have what I call kryptonite control, which is a list of things to not do, things to avoid, right? So these are the kind of negative affirmations. And then I have my one goal as well, which is around financially stabilizing the company. And so I just fire these off and I'm able to then just go through those in order as part of my routine. Lock it in with automated systems, right? You need, ideally, I think, multiple activation systems to actually make it, especially during the first 30 days when you're building habits, right? So you don't want to rely on motivation or even, thinking about what to do every single day and kind of remember, right? You want to actually engineer your environment to prompt you to do the right thing consistently. Systems, right? So solid prompts for waking up at your intended time. So, ideally you want to get to the point where you wake up naturally, but for a lot of guys that are struggling with pornography, they will have a, bad sleep hygiene and bad, poor discipline the night before. So it can be a struggle to wake up early naturally at the time that they want to. So, set up your phone and alarms for self-discipline, right? So put it across the room, have your phone in airplane mode, don't have a snooze option, and have an alarm sound that actually, wakes you up somewhat gently without, triggering any kind of stress or shock. And you want to prepare the night before to make it as easy as possible. So, set up anything like water, coffee, tea, clothes, and make those sort of goal, vision, or affirmation documents, etc., easily available. Like I just showed you, so that as soon as I open my computer and open the browser, I'm immediately with the top 5 documents that I just review and program my mind with every single morning. So you want to have those, and obviously, if you're using pen and paper, you want to have versions instead. The other thing that you can do to actually prime your mind to consistently live and go through the morning routine that you want is to put others in strategic places. So like by the bathroom mirror, by your bed, on your phone home screen, your desktop home screen, on the kitchen counter, etc. And then also you can mentally rehearse and visualize the routine to actually install it in your mind like a program so that it runs as you imagined it, right? And this allows you to actually basically live the routine many times before you actually live it for real in your mind, in your imagination. So visualize the night before, right? Before you go to sleep, mentally walk through the morning sequence and actually visualize yourself successfully taking each step, and then connect to the kind of identity that you want to have. Think about, this is who you're becoming. You're committing to starting your day right and in alignment with your, vision, values, goals, and who you want to be, right? So connected to your identity. And that brings us on to some keys to success. So these are kind of insights or tips to actually make this work for you. So the first one is start simple, right? So you really need to do this consistently for a number of days in a row to install a habit. So best to pick something simple that you can stick to and try and do it for at least 2 weeks before you introduce any more elements or any more complexity, right? So start with something simple. Start with the simple starter routine that I showed you. The next principle is that make sure that your routine has a holistic approach to activating energy, right? So you'll notice the two routines I presented both, activate your energy in multiple ways, right? So you're tapping into physiological, with hydration and oxygen and movement. And then it's the mental and spiritual and emotional energy by looking at vision, mission, goals, missions, priorities, tasks, etc., setting directions. So you're activating the, energy from all angles, right? So that you can launch in. Third thing is obviously priming the mind. So, priming the mind to do the routine by mentally visualizing, priming your mind for the day by going through the actual routine itself. And then the last one is stay flexible, right? So you're not going to have time to do the full routine every single day. Life's going to happen. And you need to adapt and stay flexible and just maintain the habit. So, of course, I don't have an hour every morning. And sometimes things go off track, super early and you're tired. Sometimes you have to, sometimes you're catching up on sleep. Sometimes, things happen. For example, I have martial arts. I train martial arts on Wednesday. And quite often, because the class is in the evening, I'm very amped up and I have a worse sleep, or it's more difficult to get to sleep that night. And then I wake up later. And sometimes I just want to get to work. So I'll compress my routine. And maybe I'll cut it down to like 10, 15, 20 minutes rather than 45 to 60, like I would if I wake up at 5. You just want to have aim and do it every single day and try and do the full thing. But if life happens, just make sure you maintain the habit and just make sure that you do have a routine that you start your day with, and just do a couple of elements. Hey guys, so this video was actually taken from the new Remojo program, where we kick off with a load of, basically basic standards, quick wins, and things to help you take control of your day, of your physical environment, of your digital environment, and redefine your relationship with technology. Essentially just reclaim control of your life, which is typically a big problem for anyone who's struggling with, breaking a pornography habit. So if you want to get involved and try out the new Remojo program, work directly with me and other coaches on our team, as well as be part of a community that's very committed to overcoming this, then you can sign up and just go to remojo.com, or you can go to school.com/remojo and sign up there. And if you're watching this soon after publication, there will be a free trial. If you're watching in the future, there may not be, but hopefully see you on the inside either way. Cheers.